I feel like I've always been a very lonely person. Um, Especially like, growing up, I was depressed as hell because I never felt like I was really understood by anyone or anything. And in a lot of ways, that's still true. Um, and so I've always had this. The way I talk about it sometimes, and the way I kind of conceptualize it, it's like a demon that follows you and just like haunts your life. Um, and it's one of those things where, loneliness can consume you. And just like I do sometimes think about how Batman is the light in the dark, not because he's this shining beacon. He's not the shining beacon. That's Superman. But Batman is the last ember of a dying fire that refuses to go out. And that's how I see myself sometimes is like fighting against a world that wants to put you out. And part of that is resisting things that come with loneliness, like apathy or like resentment, spite. Well, I am spiteful, but not not towards like anyone. It's you got to learn how to channel that into something. And for me, often it's my music or writing. Um, and like that's part of the reason why I think it saved me making music is because I go through and I hate that this has become a pattern, 'cause I don't know m- why it has, but a lot of the time what'll happen is I'll make friends and then for one reason or another I'll have to like move or they'll move and then I lose them. And it's like we stay in touch for a while, but then it kind of disappears. And that's true of, and not everyone. I have like two friends that I have broken this cycle with, but it's a hard thing to be so close. And I think part of it is me. I feel very strongly about things and about people, and I'm very compassionate. I'm very much a like if you say we're friends, that means something to me. That means a lot to me. And then, but it doesn't for a lot of people. And so then it's like this mismatch of how much stock you put into something. And so that's another thing that's really hard to reconcile with is like, that can happen a lot to you, like it has to me. And it's hard not to resent the world for it or to think that either think something's wrong with the world or you think something's wrong with you, or both. And I mean, always, you know, I I always kind of knew that the world was how it was. And I mean, obviously there are things wrong with the world, but and I always blamed myself for how lonely I was. And to be fair, some of it was me. I've changed quite a bit, but a lot of it, most of it was just that's how things unfolded. And this is why I don't like optimism or pessimism, is because if I was an optimist, I don't know, I feel like an optimist in my situation would have learned nothing from the things I've gone through because they would just always hope for the best when I know that the best is very unlikely to happen. But a pessimist would think the best will never happen. So it's like this difference and that's why I say realists take it for what it is. I am not a lucky person. I don't get lucky. And I'm not sure why that is. I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in anything cosmic or rather divine that's like luck or anything. I think luck is just a set of circumstances that favors you. And so I'm not sure what it is that makes one person lucky and one person not. But whatever it is, like I know that I'm one of those people that I don't get lucky. And when I do, I try to treasure it, try to savor that moment. Uh, 'Cause it ain't gonna happen again. But so like yeah, that's how I think that's kind of why I've come to this whole realist perspective, but that hope that no, things won't get better unless you make them better. That's the other that was the example that I was thinking of earlier was like people will say, "Oh, just wait, things will get better." That's load of crap. Things can get better, but only if you make them better. That's the realist perspective there. And so that's what I hold on to. You know, despite all the loneliness, I hold on to the fact that things can change and I can make them change for the better. Things will change. Everything will change, no matter what you do. But you can influence that change for the better.
Thank you so much for sharing all that, Jibran. That was amazing. And what you just said right now, it reminded me of this Charles Bukowski quote where he says, I was waiting for something extraordinary to happen, that as the years wasted on, nothing ever did unless I caused it. And it's just such a real line. And it's true. It's very true that you have to take action. You have to take the first steps to ignite anything, you know? And you mentioned luck, right? It's a huge mystery, but it has something to do with that where you just got to take as many chances as you can until something gives. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But um again, thanks so much for sharing all that because when I met you, I wouldn't have known any of this. Earlier, you
Hmm.
said you're not really a social butterfly, but that surprised me because the way that we were interacting, you seemed to be very sociable, very smooth in
Yeah.
conversation. You were able to take it, it was a good conversation at a steady pace. So it's it's very nice when people share these things because you realize again that people can appear a certain way, but deep down we all got our own things going on. And as
Yep.
amazing as the appearance is, it could be different inside.
Yeah, totally agree with that.